minimize. Thank you. If I ask you the factors of 48, give me just two numbers.
8 and 6.
8 and 6, okay. 8 and 6 are factors of 48. Okay, so if I took 48 and I divided it by 6, I get 8 with no remainder. Okay, so when we factored quadratics, maybe, what do I want to do here? This quadratic, and I factor it to x, what, minus 3? That's not right, is it? Yes.
Do you think you can explain the division for us?
She hasn't started it yet.
Yeah. No.
She just
That's
did
literally
6 goes into 48 8 times.
Yeah. Okay. You know that. Okay. Yeah.
that's
I don't do good with division.
This is not what I want. I want minus. Okay, so x minus 3 and x plus 2 are factors of x squared minus x minus 6. These are your two factors. Okay, so if I took x minus 3 and I divided it into x squared minus x minus 6, I would get x plus 2 with no remainder.
Okay, yeah. It's literally factoring.
It's factoring. And factoring is a form of division. When you factor something, it's the two factors that go into the number evenly. Okay, so the whole time we've been factoring quadratics, we've been finding factors which, when multiplied together, equal the number. Factors of 48, when multiplied together, equal the number. So if I divide one of these factors into 48, I get the other. If I divide one of these factors into this, I get the other. Okay, so the first thing that you should know in this section is when you do long division, if you get no remainder, you know the numbers, or that the polynomials you're dividing into are factors. Okay, so that may be a question. You have to determine whether whatever the polynomial is a factor of another polynomial. And the way you're going to do that is through long division. Okay, and when we finish long division, if there's no remainder, you can say whatever I just divided into is a factor. Okay, so let's just practice on this one. Something kind of simple. Okay, we know what the answer should be. It should be x plus 2 with no remainder. So that's good. Okay, to do long division with polynomials, you're only going to worry about this first term. You're not going to worry about x minus 3. You're just going to worry about x. And what you're going to do is ask yourself, what do I need to multiply x by to get x squared? Just x, right? And I'm going to write the x over the x term. Okay, so all I've done now is I've asked myself, what do I need to multiply x by to get x squared? And we've all agreed x times x is x squared. So x is what I'm going to put on top, and I'm just going to put it right above the x term. Okay, now I'm going to take what I just wrote, and I'm going to multiply it by both terms. Okay? So x times x is x squared. Now, if you've done it right, these two terms should be identical. With me still? And now I'm going to take the x times the negative 3, which is negative 3x. I'm going to write it here. Okay, when you learned long division, you subtract. That's what I was getting to, but I didn't know if you remembered that. Okay, so we have this. We need to subtract what I just wrote. Okay, there's two ways to do it. I could put parentheses around it and a negative. Okay, what I do, every term I write in this line, I change the sign. Every term I change the sign. Not just the first term, every term. Okay, so I intentionally go in when I have this, and I say that's negative, that's positive. I'm subtracting those by changing the sign. Does that make sense? Okay. Now I'm going to subtract them. The whole point of doing this now, that goes to 0. I don't have to even write it. That dropped out. So now I'm going to move on. Negative x plus 3x. And now I'm going to bring this term down. And I start the process over again. So what times x is 2x? 2, right? Yeah, I thought,
That's like 2.
2.
2!
And it's positive 2.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to multiply. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Change the sign. My remainder is 0. I got the other factor as a result.
So do we have to show all our work?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I don't know how you do it without showing your work. I can't do that in my
You'll
head.
be able to do that in your head.
I understood how she did it when she didn't have to subtract and all of that. But I understand both ways.
Okay. So let's do one that's a little more complicated,
Yes, please.
because that's what we love to do.
Yeah.
She will.
Let's,
Okay.
Mrs. Rita is a superhero.
Yeah.
Magician.
let's do this
In
one.
the daytime, she's a math teacher. By night, she's a superhero that saves her kids from death.
What?
She's been financial advisor. She's also been a foreign exchange student.
It's true.
She also ran
I did.
Oklahoma. She is very fast.
Okay.
Been a mom for 25 years.
This is your life, Mrs. Rita Day? Okay.
It's a game show.
Yeah. So what I want is I'm going to divide. This is called the divisor. This is called the dividend. I want to divide x squared minus 5 into this.
Right. Oh, God. Okay.
Okay. Just don't get overwhelmed. We're just going to take it one step at a time.
Okay.
Okay. You're only going to focus on this, not the whole thing, just the first term.
X squared.
You're going to ask yourself, how many times does it go into 2x cubed?
Twice.
X squared times what is 2x cubed? 2x. Okay? So I'm going to write 2x over here, because it's just over the x term.
Oh, we're not going to go into 2x cubed?
No, she did that because it's singular.
Yeah, this times this is 2x cubed.
Okay.
So now I'm going to multiply what I just wrote times both terms. So this becomes 2x cubed. 2x times negative 5. 10x. I need to line them up with the same exponent. Okay? Yep. Flip the signs. This is 0. I don't have a term here, so it just drops down to 6x squared. And start over again.
Now,
Yep, negative 6. Multiply them. Negative 6 times negative 5 is 30. Flip the signs. Bring down 15x minus 50. Well, now this degree is less than this one, so I can't divide into it anymore. That's my remainder. Okay, to write my answer then, it's going to be 2x minus 6
15x
plus
plus 15x.
15x minus 50 over the divisor. That's it. It goes from this many times with this remainder. It's not bad. Let's do another one. Yes.
What's 6 times 2?
31.
We're making fun of math.
Are you getting closer?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one. This one, I'm going to ask you if 6 is a solution. Now, if I ask, is 6 a solution, what did I have to have as a factor? If I found, I solved a quadratic, and I got one of the zeros to be 6, what did I set equal to 0 to get that?
X
X minus 6.
Oh, okay.
equals 0.
right?
So then-
X minus 6 equals 0. So the factor is x minus 6. The 0 is positive 6. You understand the difference between the two? I had to set x minus 6 equal to 0 in order to get the solution to be positive 6. Okay? So if you're asked, is 6 a solution, and you're doing long division, what you're looking for the divisor is x minus 6. Okay? If I want to find out if 6 is the solution to a polynomial, I'll write the polynomial here. What I want to do is see if x minus 6 goes into that polynomial with no remainder. If that happens, I know 6 is a solution. Do you follow the logic? I want Maddie, do you follow the logic? Okay. So 6 is a solution. This is my polynomial that I want to test out. 2x cubed minus 9x squared minus 12x minus 24. Okay. X times what is 2x cubed? 2x squared.
Oh, because that's not x squared. Yeah, x squared. You're right.
Okay, and now I multiply x times this. 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 6 is negative 12x squared. With me so far?
Yeah, flip the sign.
Flip the signs. Don't forget that step. It's really important. The way you know you'll forget it, you've forgotten it, is if when you add these two together, you don't get 0. Because that's the purpose.
0.
Negative 9x squared plus 12x squared. And then bring down my other terms. Bring these straight down. X times what is 3x squared?
3x.
Okay. X times 3x, 3x squared. 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. Change my signs.
4x.
Drop it down. 6x minus 24. X goes into 6x 6 times. 6 times 6, or x is 6x. 6 times negative 6. I have a remainder. Okay, so 6 is not a solution because I have a remainder. Okay, if my remainder was 0, the cool thing is I've just factored this in. Now I have a quadratic. If it was 0, all I would need to do is either try and factor this or use the quadratic formula, and I've just solved this polynomial because I'm able to find one solution. I'm pretending that it's not a remainder of 8, that's a remainder of 0.
Actually, we're going to solve them again?
Yes.
We're going to solve quadratics?
Yes. Yes.
You're not school
They're not quadratics, they're polynomials, but yes. Okay, another thing that's important. Let me find one that I can do for you.
Like 5 times.
That's not going to help me. Actually, that was not 8, that was 12, but that doesn't matter.
Superhero.
Yeah. I'm trying to find one to show you. They didn't give me one. Okay, I'm just going to make one up. I want to know if x minus 7 is a solution to this polynomial.
Well, let's find out.
Okay, so the thing that I wanted to show here is you see how it goes from 4 to 3 to 1 to 0 in the exponents.
Yeah.
I'm missing one, the x squared component. Okay, if there's one missing in order, you must put something called a placeholder. That was on the textbook. Okay, so what happens is you put this, you put a 0 placeholder. Okay, so that when you do the long division, that x squared piece will come through it. Okay, do you want to go through this one for one more practice, and then we'll go through the technique? Okay, x times what is 3x to the 4th? Multiply minus 21x cubed, right? Flip my sign. Okay, x goes into 24x cubed. 24, what's that? Minus, what's 24 times 7? 168. Flip your sign. Okay, x goes into 168x squared, 168 x times. I made this one up, so my numbers are getting really big. This is 168 x squared, and then I have 7 times 168 minus 1176. Right?
Are you allowed to use the calculators on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to subtract 2 from that. That's 1174. I change the signs, yes, plus 7. And then this goes in 1174 times, which is 1174x minus 8218. Change the signs. Obviously, there is no, the remainder is not 0. And remainder is 8,220. But it goes through the process for you. So I know x minus 7 is not a factor. 7 is not a solution of this polynomial. Okay, let's go through the textbook chart. Okay, factoring is a form of division. When you completely factor x squared minus 5x plus 6, what is the remainder? 0. If it's completely factored, there's no remainder. In the long division problem below, what is 2x minus 3 called? Divisor. In the long division problem below, the first step is to determine how many times 2x minus 3 goes into 2x cubed minus 3x squared. False is to find out how many times 2x goes in. If there's a remainder, you write it as a fraction over the dividend. False, the fraction over the divisor. And then finally, when dividing this polynomial by x squared plus 3, you must put a placeholder for the x term when setting up the long division. That's just true because it goes 4, 3, 2, the 1 is missing. So we have to put a placeholder for the x. That's what that means. So it would be 0x when we set up the problem. Okay?
So when you have a problem, is the top, so the numerator, the divisor?
The numerator is the dividend, the denominator is the divisor.